Hi everyone, it's July 1st, which means it's time to do the July TBR because I didn't remember to do it at the end of June. So first and most importantly, this month I'm planning to read Empire of Gold by S.A. Chakraborty, the third book in the Devabad trilogy. I just did a whole video about the Devabad trilogy and the lore behind the series and mythology, so check that out if you're interested. I was really hoping I'd have the actual book here to show you in the TBR, but it's not here yet. Today is July 1st and it's supposed to arrive today. I had pre-ordered it. I think it technically released yesterday, so I'll show it to you at some point, but I'm really excited to get that. I think I've mentioned before I'm pretty nervous for this book because I really hope the series wraps up in a way that I'm going to feel happy with. And I'm afraid that something will happen in this book that will just ruin the whole thing for me. The next new release I want to read this month is The Angel of the Crows by Katherine Addison, who is the author of The Goblin Emperor. That's a book that I read for the first time this year and just absolutely loved. It became one of my all-time favorites. I didn't know too much about this book before. I've seen a few interesting things about it. I looked at a few reviews. They've been kind of mixed. It seems like it's basically a Sherlock Holmes alternate world fan fiction. That is something I would generally be interested in reading, I guess, but that's really different than The Goblin Emperor, so I don't know how I'm going to feel about that. The last new release I'd like to check out this month is A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown. I haven't seen any reviews of this yet, but I've seen a fair bit of buzz for it lately. It's the first book in a YA fantasy duology inspired by West African folklore. The premise seems pretty interesting to me. I don't read a ton of YA, so I have my doubts about whether like the romance subplot would be something that will really work for me, but I'm looking forward to checking that out as well. The other thing I really need to focus on this month is finishing up the rest of the books for my Hugo Awards Reading Project, because the Hugo Awards winners will get announced on August 1st. So this is my last month to get all those books finished, and I still have quite a few left. I actually have a few books that I'm in the middle of reading right now that I started at the end of June. I started reading Luna New Moon by McDonald, and I've sort of been in a sci-fi slump with all the Hugo Awards books. I've just been finding a lot of sci-fi books that weren't really my favorite, and I feel like Luna is kind of falling into that category right now, so I actually started it a little while ago and I just read a few other things after I started it. I'm kind of stuck on it, but I'm planning to finish it soon. It's just a little too, again, a little too dark and grim for me. I saw some comparisons to Game of Thrones. Probably everything gets compared to Game of Thrones that has politics and families and murder, but that was basically what Luna New Moon was about, was politics and families and murder. So, you know, I will get around to finishing that and I'll do a review of it soon. I also started Discount Armageddon by Seanan McGuire, which is part of the Encrypted series. That's actually been pretty fun so far, more of a light urban fantasy with, you know, quirky characters, a lot of creatures, interesting settings. It's been pretty fun. I'm not absolutely loving it, but it's definitely been an enjoyable read so far, and I'll probably finish that up in the next couple of days. I was going to read The City in the Middle of the Night by Charlie Jane Anders last month. Instead, I read The Light Brigade, which I did a review of, so now I need to read The City in the Middle of the Night this month. That's my last Hugo Awards finalist for Best Novel, and after I finish that, it'll just be the series that are left. So I think the last book I need to read for the series is Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey. I know this is quite a well-known series. I was generally interested in picking it up before I started this whole Hugo's reading project based on the recommendations of a few friends that are science fiction fans. Also, hopefully if I like it, maybe my husband and I can watch The Expanse together. I think he needs to read the series first though, so I don't know how long that will take. But I've heard from friends that The Expanse is a pretty good show. So that's it for all of my Hugo Awards books, and then I will be done with that project. I can say goodbye to those lists, and I will be looking for more things to add to my TBR, so please let me know if there are any things that you think I would like. A couple other things I didn't get to last month that were on my June TBR. I am still planning to read The Raven Tower by Leckie. I have it on ebook from the library right now, so I need to go ahead and read that before I have to return it. I just didn't quite get there last month. All I know is that it's her latest book and it's fantasy, and I really enjoyed her science fiction trilogy, the two that I've read from it so far, so hopefully that will be a nice fantasy break from all that science fiction. I also have the last two Mistborn Era 1 books. I meant to get to Mistborn 1 and 2 last month, but I only read 1, so I'm planning to try to get through both of these guys this month. For some reason with these Sanderson rereads, even though I know the first time I read them, or the first few times I read them, I probably galloped through them, right now my impulse just seems to be to really like take my time and try to look for all the details and really enjoy it, which is nice, but it means I'm not getting through them very quickly. So I'm probably going to need to ramp up my Cosmere reread schedule once I'm finished with all the Hugo Awards books. But that's not a bad thing. Reading more Cosmere is never a bad thing. So that's actually it for July. That's actually a lot of books. It's just a lot of stuff that I have already talked about on this channel, so I feel like this TBR went pretty fast. But like I said, I don't know what to read after I finish all of these Hugo's books that I've been reading for several months now, so please let me know down in the comments if there are any books that you think I should check out. Particularly fantasy, but honestly, I am really open to anything but science fiction right now. I would love to try some new things and just get a break from some of the things that I've been reading a lot of recently.